Good
Good.
morning.
Good morning, Service Alliance Group. How is everybody doing today on this fine Tuesday? How
How
are
you
you, Jason?
doing? I'm still trying to figure out that song. I might have to get with Zach to figure out what song you use. I'm sitting here thinking, man, that sounds like a Brothers Osborne song. I don't know.
Um,
Got me wondering. I know that tune from somewhere.
a lot of the stocks music sounds similar to mainstream.
Good. I like it. I like it a lot.
So, what are we talking about today?
We are about meaningful connections, Mike. Yeah. Talking about strategic partnerships and the power of them. And we're going to be talking about leveraging your industry events. And then we're going to talk a little bit about online versus in person networking. So, yeah, today we're talking about the networking know how. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what we're talking about today.
it's all about building relationships, right?
Let's
And
build some
connection.
relationships.
Whether it's in business or personal,
I
you
just
got
had
to have
Jenny.
right relationships.
Jenny just texted me her email address. It was from a couple of shows ago about the cheat sheet. She's like, hey, I just got around to watching the show. Send me the cheat sheet. Good morning, Jenny. So, yes. Uh, hey, I got a dad joke while we're waiting.
Yeah, let's go.
Kind of waiting, anyway. So, all right. The CEOs of each of the beer companies, they're at a bar together. And the CEO of Budweiser, he orders a Bud Light. The CEO of Miller orders a Miller Light. The CEO of Coors orders a Coors Light. You kind of get where we're going here, right? This continues until the bartender finally asks the CEO of Guinness what he would like. And the CEO of Guinness orders a Coke. And all the other CEOs asked him, why did you not get a Guinness? He replied, well, if none of you are drinking beer, then why should I?
I love it. It's
Yeah,
so true.
right? I like that one.
It's funny because it's true.
And my buddy Tom Harness, I'm sure he'll like that one too.
Yeah.
He's a beer guy. We had
I,
a
I
bocce tournament Saturday, and I was on his team. Or we were on another person's team, and Shriners, it's Bud Light and Coors Light. I mean, that's about all you get at a Shriners event. So he's an IPA guy, so he brought some IPA beer and dumped in the in the coolers, and he was the only one drinking it. But there you go.
yeah. I Once you've had real beer, you can't go back to to that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Prayer in the
Let's
scripture.
pray us in and then you can
What
do
scripture
our
do we
verse.
decide to go with?
Ecclesiastes
Okay,
4,
4.
9
Yeah.
through 11.
That's what I thought. I had several of them pulled up, and I'm like, wait a second, which one was it was All right, go for the
All
prayer.
right.
We need it.
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this community. I want to thank you for our friendships that we've bonded over and the people that we've just gotten close to and the camaraderie that we all share. Lord, you gave us community. You gave us these types of relationships so that we could build bonds and strengthen ourselves and grow and have some leadership in our own lives, Lord. And I just want to thank you and lift you up and praise you in the name of all things, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
All right, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through roughly 11 says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up. That's a pretty good, powerful networking thing there. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's got to be a lonely thing when you're down and there's no one there to lift you up.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I am very blessed to have a lot of people around me that can lift me up when I'm down.
Yeah. We're talking about networking today, and I there's all kinds of examples of networking in the Bible. I mean, the Bible is just full of networking. Networking is definitely a valuable way to tell others about your business, to get new clients, develop your knowledge, gain knowledge from others' successes. The followers of Jesus, they spread the gospel rapidly because of um, help from people along the way. Their message multiplied in the hearts of new disciples who flocked to Jesus, and this is like that's the ultimate networking right there, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this book, and it's a brand new book by John Maxwell called
Mhm.
High Road Leadership.
I saw that.
And it is really, really good. Oh,
Yep.
having a hard time getting it to show, but
Right
that's
there.
it.
That's good.
High Road Leadership. And I'm only a chapter in because I started reading it on Sunday, but it's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And it's pretty in your face,
Hmm.
and it talks about a lot of this, with meaningful connections. And the tagline of the book is bringing people together in a world that divides.
Hmm.
And I thought, what an excellent book to read with, networking and building relationships and partnerships coming up and talking about that. So,
Yeah.
it's got some good insights along with that. So I highly recommend, this book, because it does go into politics
Hmm.
and talk about the division of people in politics and the hate from both sides and just tearing people down.
Which is different for John to do something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he starts off in the book saying, I wrote this book because I'm sad at the
Yeah.
state of the world right now.
Mm.
And it's not just America, it's everywhere across the world. And when you take animosity and inject that into everything, just to tear other people down,
Hmm.
he really exposes how bad that is for you to do
Yeah.
in all kinds of relationships and connections.
Hmm.
So I thought that would be a good book worth mentioning.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's been a good read so far.
Well, do you consider yourself a successful Christian business owner?
I'm a work in progress.
You're a work in progress.
I am a
So
work in progress.
I think there's definitely many different definitions to the word success, but you know,
Absolutely.
I am definitely where I'm at today because of the help that I've received along the way, and a strong network of professionals like yourself and many others along the way. That helps you accomplish a lot of the things that you couldn't do by yourself, and that's by design. God designed, His intent for you is to let others do the talking for you. That's how we got our start in this business, is simply because of forums that we were part of, and the network and the connections that we had. So yeah,
Ab- Absolutely. I'm a
100%.
firm believer in connections,
Yeah, we would not
right
be where we were at
relationship.
today if it wasn't for Connect. Yep. Let's dive into this. So,
Let's
building
go.
meaningful connections. So what does that mean to build meaningful connections? Just mentioned um, having just the network of people who are going to refer you. Um, as I said, we started out in 2018 with my office help simply by somebody knowing us through it was House Call Pro at the time. And he reached out to us and he's like, "Man, I need somebody just to answer my phones like you do for your business. Is that something you can do for me?" And he was another electrician, and that's how we started. And from there, it's grown into what it is today, and we still have a long way to go. But how can individuals go beyond surface level interactions to foster deeper relationships? What's some things that come to your mind when I ask that question? And if you got comments or anything, be sure to throw some comments in there. We gotta say hey to everybody. We got some people on, so let's say hey to some people real quick.
Yeah. Got Adam. Morning,
Hello, Adam.
Adam. Jerry Parsons.
Hello, Jerry.
Deb's Page.
Yeah, that's my cousin Deb. Morning, cuz.
Got this guy.
Hey, this guy.
And she enjoys watching you.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy, Deb. Just saying.
I was just thinking, I don't know if that's a creepy statement or.
That's funny. All right, so going beyond surface level interaction. What does that look like to you? I kind of know what it looks like to me, but let's hear your opinion on that.
Going beyond surface level interactions.
Mhm.
Getting to know your customers
Mhm.
is a good way to put it. I'll give you an example because it's very, very recent. Yesterday, I got an email from one of my clients, from a coworker of the main client that I was dealing with, been a client well over a decade, and she died.
Hmm.
Went through a pretty hard battle with cancer, and we kind of wondered if it was coming, but I had become friends with this woman.
Mhm.
Never met her in person, but we talked all the time on the phone.
Mhm.
Done many, many, many projects together over the years, and we just grew to be friends. And we would talk during business hours, after business hours, a lot of things about leadership. And she was the chief operating officer of the company, and it was a pretty large company, and kind of just got to know her, from just working with her so much. We had a lot of Zoom calls, and her basic right hand coworker emailed me and let me know that she had passed.
Mm.
And my heart sunk, and I reached out to this woman last night, and I just asked, "How are you doing, hon?"
Yeah.
Like, how are you? Because they were best friends.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. If you have a relationship at all, with, it doesn't matter if they're a vendor or a customer or a
Mhm.
coworker, you have to care for people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm gonna pick up the phone, and I'm not gonna reply to this email. I'm just gonna pick up the phone and I'm gonna check on him. And I'm like, tell the whole staff that I'm
Yeah.
sorry for your loss, type of thing. Have some empathy.
Mhm.
But it was one of those things where this is a person that I will go to the
Depths of the
funeral
earth.
when they finally have it, memorial, whatever they have,
Yeah.
whenever they have it, because so many people want to go. But
Yeah. It's, it's
I don't
more
want
than
to turn this into a somber thing, but
yeah.
it's still a relationship. And then that company and her right hand person knew that I would want to know,
Yeah.
because I had built such a good relationship. And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you in this for?
Yeah. It's definitely more than just exchanging business cards or LinkedIn connections. It's that genuine relationship that you created. It's funny you say that. When you were talking about that, it brought to my mind a really good customer of mine. Her name was Bill B. Phillips, and when she passed away, her daughter called me and asked me to be a pallbearer at the funeral, and I was just honored because that was just a relationship that I had built, and I had done a lot of work for B and making her home safer, and She had actually, we went to a Dave Ramsey event together. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff that, we did, and we brought her in, and I considered her part of the family, and yeah, that's interesting. Another good example of this is going beyond, you know, um, moving beyond just those surface level interaction is Tom, Harness. He's somebody that I met at a networking event, and we clicked and we connected, and through the years we've become really good friends, and he's helped me with my business, and I hope that I've helped him some with his business. But you know but last night we went out to a movie and watched this really weird movie, and but yeah, it's definitely moving beyond the surface level connections, right, and getting those deep relationships. I can tell you story after story, from meeting people, Zach, EJ, and just going beyond that. I consider you a friend, somebody that if you needed something I could help you out with, I would. To me, that's definitely more than just exchanging a business card.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, in its right relationships. I keep using that term, right relationships. If
yeah,
the relationship has to be right,
yeah.
and it's
So
it's got to be authentic. When I say right, I mean authentic.
yeah, building meaningful connections. So next time
Yeah.
that you're at a networking event or just networking in general, remember, focus on building genuine connections. You just never know where they may lead, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with becoming friends with your employees. There's nothing wrong with becoming friends with, people you network with or customers. Some people consider you a friend even though you may not consider them a friend.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets weird, but there are lines to be drawn in the sand sometimes.
Is this an underlying hint, Mike? Are you trying to say
No,
something?
no. I mean, let's face it. Some people are just weird. You know, some
Wow.
people, some
Okay,
people
double. I
are
get it. I
just
get it.
weird, and they could be stalkers, and you know,
Mm.
they could
What's
be
Doug?
co-hosts on a morning show.
Right?
Whatever.
Yeah. I think they put us together for a reason, don't you?
Yeah. Right.
What's
All
Doug
right.
saying here? Yeah, Doug on the side dropped a comment in.
Doug says there's something about a direct referral from a friend or peer that makes you really want to knock it out of the park over a
Yep.
lead generated through advertising.
Yep.
There's nothing more true than that statement.
Yeah.
It means much more when it comes from someone because
Yeah.
now you want to do them right.
Yeah.
You don't want to just show that you can be right, or make it right. You want to make your friend look good.
Well, think about this. Next time you go over to somebody's house, I don't care if it's a connection or not. Think about if you were doing work for your mom or your grandma. How would you treat that house? How would you treat that customer? Right? That's how I took a lot of my clients on. Is I treated them how I would treat my mom or I would treat my grandma's house. So, all right, let's move on. The next one is the power of strategic partnerships. So, what roles do strategic partnerships play in networking? And how can individuals identify and cultivate strategic partnerships? If you got some comments or questions on that, feel free to post them down in there. So,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, they're strategic partnerships should, and I
should be.
say should lightly, be great partnerships. I mean,
Yeah,
they've got to work for both sides.
yeah. It should be a game
And
changer.
well, they should be, but what I've experienced,
Hmm.
there has to be a benefit for both sides. Number
Yeah,
1.
yeah.
But you genuinely have to believe in what each other is offering
Hmm.
in order for that strategic partnership to work. There has to be mutual benefit, but there also has to be a belief that your partner thinks that your services are good and you think that they're going to take care of you and that they're a good partner,
Hmm.
and that they're ethical. And I mean, for example, let's say you got a strategic partnership with a, let's say a
Plumber,
property manager.
property manager. There you go.
Let's use that as a perfect example. Well, an imperfect example. Let's say it that way. Your benefit is that you're going to get the jobs, and you're going to take care of that property manager by offering the best service that you possibly can for their tenants. And in exchange for that, they're going to pay you on time, and you're going to have that type of relationship. But if you don't build that connection with the, I think this is where a lot of people, they look at these relationships as transactional.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I think that's fine. But relationships are not transactional, right? Relationships are not transactional.
Yeah.
Okay. They're, if you're going to do something strictly transactional, then there's no real relationship there. There's no partnership there. And there's no deeper connection. It'll never go beyond that transaction. But when you actually work with people and you help each other out in different situations, I think, and when you're honest with each other, with whether you're struggling, certain people might be struggling financially. That property manager may have an owner of the units may have an issue, and that property manager's in the middle, and now he's got to try to balance paying you. Maybe you talk to that property manager, you find out the situation, you have some empathy for their situation. Maybe they're just a jerk, but at least you're going to find out. But give them the benefit of the doubt that something else might be going on there.
Yeah.
And try to figure that out. And I can guarantee you they're going to appreciate you, and they're going to do everything that they can to give you all the jobs and get you paid.
I like what Doug said over here.
What's that?
I like what Doug said over here. That building authentic, strong and healthy relationship with your parts vendor, rep, your bookkeeper, your advertising guy, Mike. We need to be good customers to them just as they need to care for us. Oh yeah, scroll down one more.
Absolutely.
Go down one more comment. I can't forget that one. Oh yeah, my office help as well. That Doug. That's good. Yeah, for sure. Man, I can think of so many different. I mean, we call it our partners page. We've been trying to look at what we revamp it, but we've got relationships with Jobber, Workies, Single Ops, which is more of a tree care CRM. We just did one with Shuparba, the CEO of ServiceWorks, which is an incredible CRM. But not just CRMs. We've got partnerships with vendors, with Mike, with Encompass, with the Service Alliance Group. But not just that. Think about that at your home level, as Mike was saying. I was always plumbers, heating and air guys. Those were some of my best and biggest referrals. And I became friends with those people. When I referred you as a heating and air contractor, I wanted to be a friend. I invited you over to my house. We'd have dinner. We would hang out. Like we've got an event coming up this weekend. I've invited you all out because EJ, Mike, Zach, some of you guys I've invited to come hang out with us because it's the relationship. Reggie and his family, we've went camping with them down at Stone Mountain. They're coming up this weekend. They're going to be camping out with us. So it's the relationship aspect outside of business that really helps to cultivate those long-lasting partnerships, of referring each other back and forth. So 100%, Mike. 100%.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that. And it took me a long time to, I'm not saying that I've known this all along. This is something that I had to learn and grow into, so it really is something that you have to kind of train your mindset.
Yeah. 100%.
So what's Doug saying? Doug's saying you two represent part of the inner circle of our small business. The only way to win is when it's a win-win for these partnerships. Absolutely, Doug. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
When I would teach my guys and gals that were service experts, I call service techs for me, I would say it's the win-win-win, right? The customer has to win, the tech has to win, and the company has to win. So, yeah, that's good. I
Yeah.
like that. Let's go down to leveraging industry events because we're kind of talking about those partnerships and relationships. Let's talk about leveraging industry events now. So, why are industry events so important for networking? Have you
Face to
got some?
face.
Yeah,
Face to meeting people face to face. There's nothing like it in the world. I mean, God created us for community.
yeah,
Period. He
yeah,
created us to be together. I mean, that's why, it's the way we're wired. And
yeah.
it's literally our purpose, to network with each other, to be with each other and commune with each other.
Yeah, it's very invaluable and it brings people together, like you said, from all kinds of platforms. We have the end of last year into this year, we have attended and we will be attending more vendor shows than we ever have. ASTI and PSA and Encompass and uh, Tree Care Industry. I mean, so many different vendor shows, and it's a lot of that. For us, it's kind of the pre stuff, doing podcasts like this and sending out emails to the database that we may or may not receive. Like ASTI is a great example. We really did a great job marketing at ASTI beforehand because we had people coming up to us at the booth and we're like, man, I just had to come meet you because I got this one email and I thought it was great. So I had to come meet you. I had one guy, he came up to me and he's like, man, I had to come meet you in person because I follow you all on TikTok and you got some great TikToks. And I'm sitting here thinking, yes, my marketing is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Because
the fruits of your labor finally bearing fruit.
yeah, I'm not a big TikTok guy. Like, I don't like TikTok, having to do TikTok, but it ends up being fun, when I can get our team involved and get a funny TikTok out there. It creates camaraderie and cultivates a really cool culture in our office. So even though you may not like doing something, it may not always be for your benefit too.
Right. You
But
never know who's watching. I mean, you never know who knows who you are
you know,
from afar. And when you think no one's watching, people are watching.
you know,
So being being at an industry event, you get to meet some of those people who are watching from afar and kind
you know,
of stalking you from behind the scenes, so to speak. But they feel like they know you because
yeah,
maybe they've been, following you or watching you, or they've heard about your business for
yep.
so long.
I think at the event, whatever that event may be, maybe do a little preparation beforehand. You know, try to find out as much as you can about that event. Maybe identify some of the speakers that you may want to go have a one-on-one conversation with if you are allowed to. Maybe some of the attendees that you'd like to connect with. Maybe add some specific goals that you would like to accomplish out of that event. So during that event, be very proactive in initiating conversations. God gave you two ears, one mouth for a reason. So ask thoughtful questions and shut up and listen, right? There's, one of the, I'll say it almost every episode if I can. Ron Smith, um, the book HVAC Spells Wealth, right? Great networking event. I bought his book and I'm standing there talking to him as an electrician. Had another guy come up. He goes, "Why did you buy a book about heating and air?" And I told him it has nothing to do with heating and air. It's about what it says. HVAC spells with. You put anything in there. Electrical spells with. Plumbing spells with.
Mhm.
So ask thoughtful questions. Listen carefully. Listen attentively to what's being said. Right. That's very important. I think the follow up is pretty important too. After the event, take time to reach out to those that you made connections with via, email. LinkedIn is becoming a very big one, has been a very big one. I'm just now getting in that one. But, um, reference your conversations. If you shoot them an email, hey, Mike, I just want to check in with you. It was a great conversation we had at ASTI about, the SEO optimization that your business does. And I'd really like to find out a little bit more information about that. Maybe we can meet up via Zoom call or something like that over lunch, or if you're in their area, even get with them. Say, hey, let's have lunch sometime. Let's have dinner sometime and connect. So
Yeah, absolutely. You never know, one conversation or one question could lead to a lot of money for your business.
yeah.
A lot of money. And I used that example once I did a keynote, about 300 people in the room, and I just walked out, pulled $100 bill out of my pocket, and I taped it to the podium. Didn't say a freaking word about it, just taped it to the podium so everybody could see it. Everybody obviously in the room was wondering why I did that. And I held it up so everybody could see it was $100 bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on with my keynote, the whole thing. And then I told them, I said, if you do one thing at this conference, just one thing, I want you to ask questions, because you don't know how many thousands and millions of dollars you could be leaving on the table by not knowing that answer.
Yeah.
And there's no stupid question, no matter what it is. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
Hey, Mike, can I have $100?
Yeah. And then I looked at the room and I said, when I walked out here, every single one of you had the same exact question in your mind, and not one of you asked the question. And by this time, they completely forgot about the $100 bill on the podium. And then finally, some woman asked. I literally just stood there silent. And then finally, someone said, she raised her hand and she says, "What's the $100 bill up for that you taped?" And I took it off and I walked over and I handed it to her.
Yeah.
And I said, that one question made you $100.
There you go.
How many other questions are you going to ask during this conference that will give you a lot more than $100? So that was a good example.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I just leveraging industry events for networking. Ask people questions. There's people that know more than you, and you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. If you are, get in a different room. All right, let's move on.
Oh, that was good.
We're running out of time here.
I'm soaking that in. Yeah. All right. So let's online versus in-person networking. So what are some advantages and disadvantages to networking online versus in person and vice versa? And then how can individuals effectively network in a virtual environment? This is becoming more and more of a popular thing. There's even online, like we're part of a BNI group. Austin goes to a BNI group in person, but now they're starting to have regional BNI groups via Zoom. And I'm like, man, this is interesting because, our old business as an electrician, it was like really locally is really all that was beneficial for me to go to BNI networking and connecting with these people locally. But with this business, with my office help, I mean, we could be part of these online communities all over the country and even up into Canada. So that got me thinking in a whole different aspect of online versus in-person networking. So some of the advantages and disadvantages, let's hear some of your opinions.
I think it offers accessibility. Number one, anyone can join. You don't have to travel. So I think that's great. But connecting with a more diverse type of people, that aren't from your region. What I've noticed is people from different regions think differently. They have different experiences. They have in different markets or different. I mean, even in the United States, there are many different cultures across states, or, say, for example, like I'm from Northern Illinois and you're from Southern Illinois. The cultures are completely different. It's your part of the state in Southern Illinois is not like, the heavy Chicago, type of culture.
We are very rural.
Yeah. So I think you can learn a lot from diversity. And I never really understood that. I was always in my early 20s, I was very closed-minded about that, and I knew what I knew and I was arrogant and um not a lot's changed there.
Mhm.
In some aspects, and I struggle with that sometimes. But what I have learned is the diversity. I've been able to just absorb a lot more
Yeah.
because there are two sides. And my wife always tells me all the time, she's like, there's more than your way, Mike.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get the same outcome or even a better outcome. It doesn't have to be your way. And I'm like, yeah, it does. It has to be
Yeah.
my way because I'm the only one that matters and I'm the only one that needs to be happy in the situation. And she just rolls her eyes, and she's like, oi,
Oy.
so
Well, definitely online, there's that convenience, and the accessibility. You
right.
can connect with people, like you said, from around the world. You don't even have to leave your own home. Um, I guess the one question maybe everybody's wondering right now, Mike, do you have pants on?
I do.
I got pants on too. Okay, just want
Uh,
to make sure.
long
Making
pants, even not
sure. Okay.
even. I'm not sitting in shorts.
In an instance like this, we have a little bit of a face-to-face interaction, and it's you and me, but we don't have that really face-to-face interaction with those who are watching, right? So it kind of lacks that personal touch. I think
Mhm.
to effectively network online, you need to have a strong online presence. You need to engage with others on social media. Do things like this, what we're talking about. On the other hand, in-person networking, that's where it allows for that deeper connections, those more meaningful conversations. You can read body language, you can pick up on subtle
Right.
cues, you can establish rapport a lot more easily. So when networking in person, I think you need to be sure to come prepared with business cards or digital business cards. Practice, like I said, two ears and one mouth for a reason. So practice active listening. Follow up with your contacts again afterward to maintain that relationship and keep those relationships cultivated, right? So I
And
think
we
when
we
you're
have we have a really. I'm going to use this as an example, just because it's right below us on the screen. Our mastermind coming up
oh,
this Saturday. We're going to be talking about SOPs, but in our masterminds, we conduct them on Zoom for our all access members, and everybody gets together and we all learn from each other. We obviously do our own presentation, but then afterwards we all get together in the same room, and we're all just learning and talking and growing with each other. And you can have one presenter, but that's just one point of view. But after the presentation, that's when you get everyone's point of view and everyone's experience, and that's where everybody really starts to grow. And I've always said that, like, with church as an example. I can go to church and I can sit there and I can listen to a pastor for 20, 30 minutes, however long his sermon is, and I can learn a few things.
mhm,
But when we have on Tuesday nights, we have our small group, our small group Bible study. I can tell you right now, that is where deep growth happens. And that's
yep,
where the relationships grow deeper
yep,
when you have these small groups. So take that to the business world, getting in these masterminds, getting in the communities, getting in these industry events that are live or online. That's where you really grow from
yeah.
each other. Um, I think that's where the power of this really lies.
So the ma this weekend is like a Zoom conference call mastermind?
Yes, for
Okay,
our and it's only for our all access members. We only do
gotcha.
our masterminds for all our all access members at Service Alliance Group,
So everybody will be live in person on the
in
screen,
person.
interacting. That's
Yep.
always the best way for 10 people to say bye a total of 250 times. Bye. Okay, bye, 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 bye. Well, that's pretty cool. All right. So if you're an all access member, you probably have access to that already then. So
Yes, they do.
cool.
So All right.
Well-
any closing remarks or
Well,
thoughts?
I think wrapping up here, the networking know-how, building meaningful connections, the power of strategic partnerships, leveraging industry events and online in-person networking. I think there was some gold in this one today. This was a really good one. You might see some clips coming out of this one in the future. So
Yeah, absolutely.
good stuff. Mike, as always, hey, good morning, Saul.
Morning,
Tuning
Saul.
in there. Catch this replay. It's been a good one. At least
Yeah.
we think it has been.
Oh, well, of course, we think it's good. So, all right. Thanks
right.
for watching, everybody. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.